Chapter 7. Bang, bong, bang, bong, bang. Up at them. Class 1 large, fry pot called. He banged on a skillet with his soup ladle. Wigglypuff's eyes popped open. He started to jump out of bed. Then he caught sight of the pointy green head sharing his pillow. Worm's eyes lit up when he saw that Wigglypuff was awake. He let out a joyful "Mommy." Wigglypuff clapped a hand over the dragon's snout. He pulled the blanket over both their heads. Now what? Wiggy, said Angus, are you awake? Yes, said Wigglypuff from under the covers. But I think I will stay in bed for a while. Why? Are you sick? Said Angus. Sort of, said Wigglypuff. He dared not say what the real trouble was. I bet you are faking it, said Bragwort, to get out of scrubbing. Do you have a fever? Asked Angus. No, said Wigglypuff. I have a worm. Oh no, called Erica. Have you eaten any uncooked eel, Wiggy? No, said Wigglypuff. But why do you think you have Angus drew in a sharp breath. A worm? Wigglypuff smiled. Angus got it now. He could tell. I will get the deworming tonic from Frypot, said Erica. I'm coming with you, Bragwort called. You're not getting a first aid badge unless I get one too. Wigglypuff heard their footsteps as they raced out the door. My cousin had a worm in his stomach once, Angus said. Wigglypuff wondered why he was speaking so loudly. One night, the worm crawled out through his nose. It was 6 feet long. Ew! Cried several of the Class 1 boys. Now, Baldric spoke up. Can you catch worms? Oh, yes, said Angus. Worms are very contagious. Wigglypuff heard the feet stampeding out of the dome. Good old Angus. When it was quiet, Angus drew back Wigglypuff's blanket. There, Worm said happily. How in the world did he get up here? Asked Angus. Search me, said Wigglypuff. Worm hopped out of bed. The peopling had grown bigger yet. Wigglypuff saw that he was as tall as Angus. We have to get him out of here, Angus said. Now! Just then the door opened. Angus threw the blanket over the peopling to hide him. Freeze! He commanded. Erica ran in. Wigglypuff breathed a sigh of relief. Here's the deed warmer, she said, holding up a bottle of dark brown syrup. When she saw the figure covered in a blanket, she stopped. Don't tell me, she said. We won't, said Angus. I don't see anything, said Erica. She squeezed her eyes shut. But if I did, I'd think something has grown. And it's something that Bragwort, who's going to be back here in a minute, can't miss. Go ahead, him off, Erica, said Angus. Wait, said Wigglypuff. Erica, if you have extra everything, does that include the uniforms? Erica nodded. She kept her eyes shut. Help yourself. They're in my trunk. Just don't step on my Sir Lancelot carpet, okay? I'm out of here. She turned and ran out the door. In Erica's trunk, right on time, Wigglypuff found a helmet, a freshly washed tunic, and pair of leggings. Angus, he said, hold Worm still while I get him dressed. Tucking Worm's tail into the leggings was a challenge, but 10 minutes later, 2 DSA students holding one odd-looking creature in a DSA uniform between them left the Class 1 dorm room. They went right past Bragwort. Luckily, Erica had gotten him involved in counting his badges, and he never looked up. As the three passed the headmaster's office, they heard the familiar cling cling. Wigglypuff breathed a sigh of relief. Mordred was busy counting his gold. But to Wiglaf's horror, just as they had passed the suit of armor that stood guard outside the office, Mordred stuck his head out the door. "Nephew," he called, catching sight of Angus. "Tell me what comes after 9,999. 10,000, Uncle, answered Angus. "Ah, I knew that. The inspectors, they've got me rattled, that's all." Mordred drew his head back in and slammed the door. Ooh, Worm thrilled. He bounced down the steps ahead of them. On the third bounce, Worm's wings ripped through Erica's tunic. The peopling began flipping and bouncing higher and higher. And on a very high bounce, he kept flapping, and stayed in the air. "He's flying!" cried Angus. "Sort of," said Wiglaf. "Good thing we put that helmet on him." They watched as Worm took a nose dive onto the ground. Then up he went again. This time he flew to Old Blaget. He made a wobbly landing on the tree above the practice dragon's head. "Mommy!" "Zzzz!" Worm cried happily. "Nice going," called Angus, sounding like a proud parent. "Now come!" "Zzzz!" Worm cried. Then he took off from the tree and flapped toward Angus. He bounced a few times, then skidded right to him. "Good Worm," said Angus, tossing him an ear. Angus and Wiglaf took the peopling to the henhouse door. Worm bounced inside. "Hooray, say!" Daisy cried. She told Wiglaf that she woke up that morning to find the Worm gone, and that he was too much for her to handle. "Come on, Daisy," said Angus. "No one ever comes to the henhouse." "But Worm doesn't stay in the henhouse," Wiglaf pointed out. "Bregwald is suspicious. If he sees Worm, he will tattle on us to Mordred." "You don't want that to happen. I will show Uncle Mordred how well trained Worm is," said Angus. "He will let me keep him as a pet." "Dream on," said Wiglaf. "We have to come up with a better plan than that." "Let's go get some breakfast," said Angus. "I can't think on an empty stomach." No sooner had the boys sat down at the Class 1 table with their breakfast trays than Wiglaf caught sight of a huge rat peering in the dining hall door. He had never known rats could reach such a size. Mordred looked up from where he sat at the teacher's table. "Egad!" the headmaster cried. He jumped up from his chair and began waving the rat away. "Begone! Begone! I say, if the inspectors come and find the rat here, they will close me down for sure." "No, Lord," cried the rat. "It's I, your scout, your rig." He pulled up his rubbery rat face. "I knew that." Mordred mopped the sweat from his brow with the hem of his velvet cape. "These inspections have me on edge. That's all. Well, what news, Yorick?" "My lord, the inspectors have just left the Knight's Noble Conservatory," said Yorick. "The school passed the inspection with flying colors. Seems they got extra points for giving their students free time to work on their own projects." "Free time?" muttered Mordred. "Never heard of it." "The inspectors will go to Knight's Arlus tomorrow," said Yorick. "Then they are coming to Dragonslayer's Academy." Yorick scratched his head. "What, is it the other way around?" Mordred lowered his violet eyes. "In any case, we must be ready," he boomed. "You boys have scrubbed well." The boys broke into cheers. "Uh-oh," said Angus. "Uncle Mordred never gives compliments." Wiglaf feared what was coming next. "But from now until the inspectors come," Mordred went on, You shall scrub as you have never scrubbed before. Now the boys groaned. So, I've got new badges. Mordred held up a bright red patch. It was decorated with feathers. Who wants to own this handsome badge? The fancier the badge, said Wiglaf. The nastier the job, Angus finished. As Mordred swung the fancy badge back and forth, Wiglaf glanced out the window and nearly choked on his ear. There was Worm. The Pippling was flapping his wings, treading air. When he saw that Wiglaf had seen him, he wiggled his ears. Angus! Wiglaf elbowed him and nodded toward the window. Lancelot's liver, Angus swore. He frowned at the Pippling, nodding at him to go away, but Worm only frowned and nodded in imitation. Wiglaf's mind was spinning. They had to get Worm away from there before anyone saw him. He stared down at his eelmeal, and the disgusting gray glove gave him an answer. Wiglaf jumped up. I'm going to be sick, he cried. He clapped a hand over his mouth and raised it from the dining hall. I will help you, Wiggy, Angus called, and he ran after Wiglaf. The boys zoomed out of the castle and into the yard. Worm! called Angus. Get down here. The Pippling swooped down toward the boys, but at the last minute he swerved away and flew straight into the castle. The boys ran back into the entryway. Mordred's portrait lay on the floor. Pieces of armor were scattered everywhere. A helmet here, a chainmail boot here. The boys followed the path of destruction up the staircase and down the hall of fame. He's taken a bite out of Sir Ichabod's shoulder, cried Wiglaf. Sir Herbert's shield is eaten, said Angus. There he is, said Wiglaf. Worm sat at the end of the hallway. He was licking his clothes as if just finishing a big messy meal. Wiglaf saw that the pedestal that had once held Mordred's bust was empty. The dragon looked up as the boys ran toward him. Mommy! Sir! He cried, and big soap bubbles floated out of his mouth and nose. Suddenly, a loud bellow split the air. Jones! Cried Wiglaf. Has a horribly wounded ball gotten into the school? No, said Angus. That's Uncle Mordred.